I'm Beth Ann.
What's up? I'm Ayla.
This is Let's Talk BL, a boys love podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. We have a very interesting topic today that I'm excited to talk about, interested to talk about, curious to talk about. This has actually been a recurring request that we've gotten. And so, if we rewind all the way back to season 1, we did an episode about how to get your friends into BL. Right. Mostly, we did that episode because that was our real life. You liked BL. I did not. You were like, Ayla, I need a friend in this BL life. And I said, no, thank you. And now look where we are. So clearly tactics worked.
Because you and I are very different fans. So I am very much the person that if I like a thing, I get my already existing friends into it.
Right.
I'm like, guys, I know you couldn't care less about this thing that I'm into, but I'm going to get you into it. And then it just kind of goes from there.
Which, by the way, it hasn't really worked for BL. She got me. She's tried so hard. You force so many people. It doesn't usually work, right? So, like...
You were right for the taking.
The type of fan you are is you just, like, will talk at everyone about the thing you like. Yeah. And you just are like, please... listen to me.
I'll see
you
what
don't
sticks.
Necessarily need us like in it with you.
True.
You just want to like talk about it at us.
Yes.
Yeah. Versus I really want community as a fan.
Right.
So that's kind of like the two different types of fans we are. Is like you don't really care if you have like friends in it with you. You just want your friends to listen to you talk about it.
Yes.
Versus I like community. Like I very much like I want other friends that are like just as into it as I am.
Yeah, because when I got you into it, you were like, we need more.
Yeah, I was like, we need to find the BL friends.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally the first thing I did, is I was like, we have to find the people. Where are the people?
Which very much speaks to how do you even make friends in adulthood.
Right. And so after we did that episode all the way back in season 1, we've kind of had this, like, continued request where, like, people ask us, okay, well, how do I make BL friends?
Yeah.
Like, how do I make, if my friends are not going to be into this.
Yes.
I've tried. I either took your advice or I went with my own thing, and my friends have been very clear, like, I'm not into this.
Yeah.
How do I make BL friends? And we've never really had a good answer for this. And so we've come up with some things that we think. We also, at this point now, have had the benefit of time of, like, us ourselves making BL friends. Because we didn't have any before.
Right.
And now we do. And it's really nice. And so now we kind of do have an answer. So today we were talking about how to make BL friends.
Yes.
Not how to get your friends into BL, but how to make new BL friends. How to find the people. Where do you find the community?
Which is daunting even in of itself if you, depending on what age you are, because yes, there are some younger BL fans who are maybe in high school or college, but if you're an adult, more so, that's just trying to make other friends that are interested in the same things you are. Sometimes it's really hard because you're never really taught like how to make friends, like how to be intentional with people a lot of times outside of like a college or a school atmosphere.
Right. We so often like you make friends because you're in school together. You make friends because you work together.
Club together.
Right. Like it's very much you find friends through physical spaces, right? Like some sort of shared physical space.
Which, to start off with, is a way to make BL friends.
It is. Here's the trick. Here's the secret. Tip number 1, right? Are you taking notes?
Wear your LTBL merch in public.
I mean, basically, right? Like, this is one thing that has worked for me. I don't think, you've never had this experience. It's only happened to me, I think.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
So my approach to life in general, and this is something that didn't happen to me until I was an older teenager, is like, I don't believe in the words guilty pleasure. Like, I don't believe that you should feel guilty about something that brings you happiness.
Right.
Like, just because it's weird or not as popular or whatever, like, is nerdy, is this, is that, is all of these other labels that people like to put on things. If it makes you happy and it's not hurting anyone, right? It's not some sort of like, right? Like if murdering people brings you joy, then you should feel guilty about that.
You're not oppressing anyone by liking a thing.
If you're not hurting anyone. Right. If the thing that you like isn't hurting anyone, you should never feel guilty about liking it. You should never feel shame. You should never feel like you have to hide it. Now, with BL, there are some reasons, like culturally, why you may not want to, why this tactic may not work for you.
Right.
Like from a safety perspective, depending on your community, where you live, the people in your life. But for some folks, this might work. And this has been my general approach is like, I'm just not quiet about the things I like. I wear my BL merch out of the house. I wear my Let's Talk BL like t-shirts that I have. And this has worked for me multiple times. So I have 3 stories. Mm-hmm. First one is a story that I think I've told on the podcast before where this wasn't even me. I wasn't even wearing the merch, but I was at the gym.
So it's very early days too.
Yeah. And this boy walked past me, and he was wearing an It's A shirt. And I gasped and dropped the handles on the machine I was using. The weights, clanked, right? So it was, I had a very loud reaction to this boy. Fantastic. And then I sort of, sneaky followed him around the gym, which is, I should have just talked to him. That wasn't the best approach.
Because you called me when you were still in the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was because I was oh my God.
Ayla, you got to go talk to him.
And so I sneaky followed him around, and then it just happened where I usually end my workouts with ab work and stretching, and so I went into that room and he was in that room also doing the same thing, and I was okay. And so I pulled my little mat over to where he was, and he was with his friend too. So
fantastic.
This probably looked like I just thought he was cute or something. It was I don't know what it looked like to them, but I finally worked up the courage where I was nice shirt, and he was so excited. He was do you know what this is? And we had a whole conversation about it, and then we were little gym friends. We are not still connected, but it was that's an example of I worked up the courage. I should have just talked to him from the beginning instead of sneaky following him around, because it was a great, cute exchange.
Right.
Second time this happened to me is I was wearing a Let's Talk BL sweater to dance class, and this girl who was in class that day, who I had never seen in class before, was and this is the funniest story too, because at the end of dance class, they break us into groups and we perform the choreo we learned. And literally she was in the opposite group from me. And so normally what you do is you'll ask somebody in the opposite group to hold your phone and film you.
Yes.
And so I had just handed my phone to one of my class friends to film me, and I was walking past her to go take my spot so I could start performing this choreo.
Right.
And this girl stops me and she's does your sweater, I was wearing a sweatshirt. She's does it say BL, boys love? And I was yeah. And I was I have a and she was you like BL? And I was yeah. And she started to talk to me about it, and I was I literally everybody was starting to dance, we were in class. And so I ended up waiting, and then after we ended up talking for so long after class, and we're
so
little
cute.
Dance class friends now, and it was so fun. And it was because I wore a Let's Talk BL sweater. Yeah. And then also, I have Sia on the back of my phone. So this is my third story. I carry Sia with me everywhere. He's on the back of my phone. And one time I was literally at work. I was doing a work event. Right. So for my work, I have to go to events sometimes. And I was at our work table. And it was at a college.
Yeah.
And this girl walks up and she points at my phone and she says, "That's my boyfriend." And I was what?
Excuse me?
And I was so confused. And I was and she pointed at my pop socket, which is Sia. And I was what? I genuinely, I still didn't comprehend what she was saying. Because out of context,
you have zero clue as to what they could possibly be talking about.
Well, so not only was it so niche that it was Sia, right? It was my BL boy. And then also I was at work, so I wasn't even in I was in work mode. Work brain. And I just I didn't, and it took a minute, and it wasn't until she said, "That's Sia, right?" that I was yeah. And I freaked out, and we had a whole, and it was super cute and fun. So if you are just projecting the thing you like, the people that also like the thing you like will come talk to you.
I know. I remember early days getting into K-pop and seeing people wearing their K-pop stuff in public and being oh my gosh, there are other K-pop fans, because now they're a dime a dozen, but dang, those early days I was they have a BTS sweatshirt on, that's so cool.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I would say my first BL tip is just wear the merch. If you have the merch, if you have the t-shirt, if you even it can be as simple as a sticker on your phone or a sticker on your laptop case or whatever, right? Whatever it is, your phone background even could work potentially if somebody saw it. Just don't be shamed or quiet, or don't feel you need to hide that you BL, because if you just wear it, just wear it on your shoulder, just wear the BL fandom
on
you.
People too will be like, oh, what is your shirt about? Or like that kind of thing. And you could make a new friend who you get into BL too.
Get over it.
Because people, yes, that is a way that people do. Like if they're somebody like you're a new friend potentially, they're like, what is your shirt about? They get so interested.
So that's our first tip is just wear the merch, just get the sticker, put the background on your computer, whatever it needs to be.
The second thing IRL that's really exciting that's starting to happen is in-person events worldwide. We have had one that we know of here in the States that we have hosted here in Houston.
We hosted a cup sleeve event here in Houston, and to answer all of the DMs that we've gotten since then, yes, we plan to have more events. Yeah. We don't have one that we can announce right now. That's not what this is about.
No.
There are some more popping up in the States. Head over to IG. There's some info on that there. Again, we're not hosting it. It's not our thing, but I've seen that it's happening. There's been a lot in South and Central America. Yeah.
And a lot happening in Europe, too.
Yeah. So go to the event.
And
don't feel shy to go to the event.
Yes, we are podcast hosts. We do kind of have this thing going. But you can host your own event. Like, you can clearly go to a coffee shop, get another, if you have, like, one or two friends that are in the area that you know of that are into this thing, like, it does require some work, but like those events are worth it. I feel like they're an interesting way to like gather the people.
Even if you don't have friends that are into it. Like I don't think you do need one or two friends in the area that you know are into it. I think because it's not a lot of expense. It's really not. Like it's cheap. It's like logistics. You have to plan out logistics, but you can do that. All you do is go to a tea shop and just ask the owners like, do you ever do events? Can I do this event? You can promote it on IG. Let us know that it's happening. We'll share the info so that you can find the people. But host your own event. Go to the events, host your own event, all that kind of fun stuff. But like, there's not a ton of these, but Yeah,
those are always fun and interesting. And hopefully we have more soon.
Yes.
Okay, I feel like the most prevalent are the online spaces.
Yeah, find fans online. How do we find friends online? And then how do you make friends online? This is a very I feel like it's easier for some of us than others, for sure.
Yeah. All of our BL friends are from online. We have made BL friends through the DMs a lot of times, through Twitter interactions, through different things like that. But also there is Discord. Yeah. We're a part of a Discord.
So I think let's start with each of the platforms. Yeah. So let's start with where I made most of our BL friends. Yeah. Because this has also been a really interesting one for us as like a group. It's like a duo because you very much like, I think because we're in sort of different generations, you like very much did not understand the idea of like making friends online. You very much were like, no, like why would I talk to people? Like you didn't like get the concept of it. And so I very much, but I do not have that same like, I think partially it's a generational thing. I think also because I've always been into like, I was a book reader. I was a novel fan. I've gone to fan conventions. I was a big Supernatural fan. I've been to all the cons. Like I always was into, and like Supernatural is a big thing on Tumblr, like specifically. So I was like always in the like Tumblr scene. So like I have just sort of like my own personal fandom journey has existed online before. So I made a lot of our friends on TikTok and then like brought them over. And I basically was like, Bethan, you have to be friends with these people. Like, talk to them. Like, come on. And so like, why don't we start with TikTok? Because that's where like... So
well, actually, no. I say we start with Discord because Discord
really was my very first. Yeah,
when we first got into BL, you're like, I need other friends who are into this thing, and Discord is probably the easiest way to really kind of to focus in on making friends that you're specifically interested in. You found a really great Discord that is so well organized.
Discord is tough though. I don't know that Discord is the easiest. Because I was in a lot of Discord groups that just weren't quite the right fit before I finally found the one that I included you in.
Yeah.
That I was like, okay, I found the one. Let's go. Come on.
Because I will say, talking back to kind of our dynamic as it relates to the internet communities is that like my experience with the internet was I took my IRL life and took it online. Whereas for you, your generation was already online, and a lot of that then became your IRL. So it very much is a very different experience. Yeah. I knew everyone personally in real life that I also knew online. So it was a weird, like I never needed to make friends online because I already in real life had those friend circles that were already interested in the same things I was in. Like I wasn't into anything that like I had joined clubs or like had involvement in real life that then, because there wasn't a ton of like, I didn't do chat rooms. I did have other people my age that did do chat rooms, but they were less familiar.
I never did like a chat room thing again, but I think
or like
it's
message boards.
I think it's just a generational thing is all. But so
like what platforms were developed.
Yeah, Discord, I went through, and fully this is like a personal decision. I will say all of the Discord groups that I joined and then left before I found the Discord that we are now members of, it's not to say that they were bad or they were wrong or that one was better than the other. It's just like, I think Discord's a very personal thing. You're like, you got to find the group of people you click with. Yeah. And it just like, it took me a minute, but I found the group of people that I felt like I clicked with. And so then I was like, okay, Bethann, come on. I found the place.
And it can't be too big and it can't be too small.
Well, it depends. Right? Some people really like really big Discords. Okay. Some people like that. Some people like really, really small Discords. Yeah. It depends on what you like. It depends on the like size of community that you like.
Okay.
Yeah. So with Discord, I would say, but yeah, head over to Discord. There are quite a few BL Discords. Not all of them are publicly listed. So like the one that we are members of is not publicly listed. So you can't just search it. You can't just go find it anymore. But we have shared the link, so you can head over to, depending on where you're watching this, if you go to our link in bio, potentially, depending on, I'll also put the link in the description of this episode, and you could just go join the one we're in, if you wanted. But also, yeah, just like search through Discord. There are quite a few groups, and I think it just takes, you know, you got to give it a couple days, chat with people, see if it's the right, if it feels right, if it feels, you know, like these are your people. Then you found the group. Yeah. Discord is fun. I really enjoy Discord.
Yeah, it's too much for me.
I really like Discord. I'm a fan. So then TikTok. Moving over to TikTok. Comments. Don't be nervous to comment on people's videos on TikTok. That being said, like, be nice. I feel like that's kind of the thing that's missing is like a lot of times with online spaces as fans, we feel like we're shouting into the void. We don't approach it from a I'm trying to make friends standpoint. We approach it more of like I'm yelling into the void. Right.
Or I'm like giving my opinion.
I'm giving my opinion and it doesn't really affect this other person. But like remembering that these are other people, like real people. And so like I would say maybe that's the trick is remembering and realizing like, okay, I'm not shouting into the void. Like this is a real person that's really going to read my comment and like potentially I could become friends with. And I will say, I think the TikTok community can be the most welcoming and nicest and like easiest to connect with. Like comment, like follow each other and then slide in the DMs, talk in the DMs. Like truly, I like that really, it works, I think. And that's how we've made a lot of friends on TikTok. Or I've made a lot of friends on TikTok. And I think just remembering, I would say maybe that's the key is remembering there is like we read every comment. So like when people are mean to us, like FYI, it does affect us. Like we do.
Yeah, you remember those comments and what people say.
Yeah, even if, again, just remembering like there's someone else on the other side of that, even if they feel like a creator, even if they feel like
it needs to be repeated, that our mamas taught us, that if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
Keep your mouth shut. I will say that is the thing. It's really hard because we have figured out, because a lot of people listen to us and because we are having conversations, if it's a very conversational type podcast, that a lot of people feel like they're part of the conversation, so they'll join in as though we already know who they are because they already know who we are. And so it is a funny dynamic, and that I think that would probably be the case on TikTok too.
It is, yeah, because you like we watch each other's TikToks and like it's like, oh my gosh, I totally know their personality, I totally know them.
So like, but sarcasm and like joking a lot of times doesn't communicate quite well on TikTok.
When you're like typing it in a comment, it can be rough. Yeah, sometimes I've been reading through people's comments and I'm like, I'll read something that someone said and I'm like, what?
Like, how do I interpret this? And then it is funny because you'll occasionally see the people will delete their comment and they're like, oh, maybe they reread that and we're like, wait a minute, I don't think that
came across
communicated clearly.
Yeah, I think that's probably the trick to making friends, especially on TikTok, but also like on YouTube with creator, like if you're watching reactors, if you're watching, right, like whoever you're watching, like us, other podcasters, right, because there are a few other podcasts now, just like remembering that it's a conversation. Like we really do want to be friends with like everybody that we talk with in the DMs, everybody that we message with, like all of this, like it's a conversation. And so you're not yelling into it feels like you're yelling into the void as fans. And like I think it's hard to navigate that because that's what we do with the actors when we when we as fans are like talking to the actors, we're like in our brains we're like shouting into the void, like they're never gonna read my comment, they're never, right, like all of this. And so like that same, I feel like, mentality kind of seeps over into our interactions with each other as fans on the internet.
But then you hear one of the actors be like, they like say a little something in relation to like a joke that was happened on the internet, or like they make mention, like you see a lot of fan signs nowadays, especially in Thailand, where they're like, oh yeah, I've seen your tweets.
Yeah.
And I have also heard it from K-pop where like they recognize somebody and you're like, oh, they see me. Because people do see what happens on the internet, and you do get that like that moment of like, oh, they actually, my words do matter.
My words matter.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the trick to making friends, especially on TikTok, because the comments on TikTok really is where you're having the conversation. So I would say, first tip, don't be afraid to leave the comment. Be like, say hello, leave your opinion.
Join in the conversation.
Join in the conversation that way, but also remember that like it's a conversation. You're talking to another person. You're not yelling into the void. And I think that's the best way to like open it up to then have a conversation with that person and then become friends and then, make friends.
So on the same hand, I've had the same experience, but on IG.
Yeah.
Because I do a lot of our stories and I do respond to most of the DMs. And so it's very, very sweet that a lot of people will respond to our stories. And so whereas like on TikTok, I think a lot of the conversation happens in the comments and a lot of the conversations will typically happen in the DMs for us in relation to our stories. So somebody will just like casually just respond to a story, and then I'll respond to their response to our story, and they'll just be like, oh my gosh, you're like a real person, like this is like,
we really are real people,
a direct line. And so that is another way, like follow other creators, follow other fans, other fan accounts. Like that is a great way to casually start a conversation, responding
reply
to
stories,
commenting. The comments on our IG as well. We have had conversations with people, and then you like tend to message them too.
Yeah, I think DMs can be a little more tricky on IG because you could get stuck in someone's request folder. Yeah. So I feel like replying to a story is a little bit easier.
Yeah.
To like actually like then have a conversation with this other fan that you found that likes the same thing as you. Because and I would say like don't be nervous to like follow and respond to stories like with other fans that have put themselves out there, or like join in the conversation, like create your own stories and like comment on other, so that people then feel compelled to like come reply to your stories or comment on your posts, things like that. So that like you're not having to be the one reaching out every time, because, and then again, just like remembering it is a conversation, and that like, yes, Beth Ann does a lot of our stories, but not all of them. I am there too, you guys. And so like
we both see all of our socials.
Yeah.
And so, but that's another thing, is that like people do talk to us in our DMs in relation to like, they'll make mention of like things that you like or don't like, things that I like or don't like. And it is a funny dynamic because you're like, oh my gosh, people listen to us. This is such a wild dynamic.
But I think like in trying to make friends with people, just like, again, approaching it as a conversation and not being nervous. I feel like that's the overall like theme for our experience in making BL friends is that like I feel like we can share is that like just don't be nervous or shy to
put yourself out there.
And again, that is easier said than done.
100%.
For sure. But like don't be shy to at least make it known that you like BL, because then like other BL fans I feel like will come talk to you and like,
because we've been in that situation too, where you become a fan of somebody on social media of some sort, and then you're like, oh, I want to talk to them, I want to DM them, like I don't know what to do, and then like you do it and it's chill and it's fun and it's worth putting yourself out there.
Yeah,
because fortunately online I feel like it's decently low risk that like you could always block someone if it doesn't go well.
That's true. If the person you try to talk to turns out to like not be chill,
yeah,
you can always like
just ghost.
You can
Stop
take a step back.
Yeah.
I think also remembering that like we're a community and like you don't need, the stakes aren't so high that like you need to get heated if there's an opinion or if you don't agree with, or like, you know what I mean? Like you don't need to start a fan, or you don't need to be like liberally just like blocking people all over the place just because you disagree with them or whatever. Like this isn't a competition. Like we're all fans together, and like just kind of approaching it that way, I feel like has helped us make like, again, this was a hard topic to talk about when we were thinking about like, okay, how do we approach this one? But it's been requested so many times that we were like, okay, we can talk about what's worked for us.
Well, and two, everyone is different. Everyone's life is different. We make friends in different ways. We hold our friends in different ways. Like I have a very select few of close friends that I talk to, and because I think I am of the generation, I do like calling people on the phone. I do have like 2 or 3 friends that I call on a daily or like weekly basis, whereas there are a lot of people who don't like talking on the phone. They just want to text, they just want to have like online conversations, where if you make friends, like you pretty much keep them online, you keep them in the DMs, or you keep them on like a chat of some sort. And so there are different ways, and like everyone has a different work life or school life where like you can respond quickly in like a short period of time, and some people are free to chat all day. And so it is a fun dynamic of like when you do meet someone, especially online, you don't know what their like lifestyle is or just their communication style, and it takes some time to like you bond over this thing that you both like, but like you don't really know this other person. And so figuring out that dynamic, and we have made friends that are on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
So it is a fun dynamic. Like we've had some listeners from like the first season that will DM us and like we'll chit chat for like a couple of minutes here and there. And then like we stop talking for a couple weeks or however long. And then like suddenly we're chit chatting again. And so the friendships do ebb and flow. There have been friends that we have brought into our real life that we do talk to on a personal basis, but then there are some people that like we've been friends for 2 years and they're just in the DMs.
And we're just BL friends, and that's okay. And I think fun. That's a good point of like also understanding that the friends you make may have different communication styles than you, and one is not better than the other, right? So like calling people on the phone isn't better necessarily. Like talking on the phone doesn't make you like a better friend than like texting or chatting, or like how often you talk to somebody doesn't make you a better friend. And so I think that just like understanding the friends you're making might not have the same approach of like, I need to talk to you on the phone once a week, and that's how I know we're friends, right? Right. And so just sort of understanding that could be helpful, because we were thinking about this and we were like, nobody ever teaches you how to make friends as a grown-up.
No.
It's a very difficult thing to do as a grown-up, to make friends.
And sometimes, depending on how you live life, you don't have to really grapple with that until like, I don't know, you're much older.
Yeah.
Because like for me, I graduated college. I had a ton of friends in college, and then I left the state. I moved 8 hours away, and it was all of a sudden I moved to a college town, and I was out of college, and I was like, how do I make friends? I'm not in school anymore. I'm living with someone that I don't really know, who's like 20 years older than me. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I literally was like, I was talking to other people, especially because I was like in like Christian circles, I was going to church. And so in that type of situation, you're either lumped with like the youth, or you're lumped with like the singles, which is like 40-year-olds. And again, like I didn't know where to find my peers, because I wasn't working with other people. I was working with that 40-year-old.
Right, because so often we're taught like, or it's easiest to make friends at work, at school, again, because you share a physical space with someone. So
it's like, how do I do this?
I think grappling with figuring out how to make BL friends is kind of like a similar problem. Is just like, how do you make friends in general?
It's so true.
And I think that like The best thing that's always worked is, like, just don't be afraid to have a conversation, which again is way easier said than done. It's not an easy thing to make yourself vulnerable.
And it's trial and error.
Yeah.
You're not going to mesh well with everybody.
No, not everybody's going to be your best friend. So it's definitely a process of, like, finding your people. Yeah.
The other place I will say is a great space, and it's interesting because it's like the most public, is on Twitter.
Yeah, I think Twitter is the easiest way. Like, if you want to ease into it, and if you are nervous again about that vulnerability of like, wow, I'm really putting myself out there by trying to like DM this person.
Yeah.
It's real easy to reply to a tweet or to quote tweet someone else's tweet. Yeah. And Twitter tends to be more of like a jokey place. It's a little more, or it can be a little more lighthearted. Yeah. Sometimes people like go a little intense on Twitter and like there are fights that break out and things like that. Yeah, but for the most part, I do think Twitter's like a little more lighthearted and jokey and like you can have fun on Twitter.
And it has been really fun to see, especially kind of you tend to, for us, because a lot of times when we interview someone, we'll start to follow a lot of the people that follow that specific person. And so our Twitter will become more so about this like new actor that we've interacted with. And so it's fun to see kind of like the spaces specifically, or things that we're interested in, not necessarily who we've interviewed, but like when I really got into Love in the Air and I started following like the Boston Fort Pete people, especially the translators, I feel like are a great place to find other specific international fans. Yeah. And they're so friendly and so nice. There's also a Zinunu translator, and like the community that you see publicly of these people interacting with each other and sharing their experiences, because sometimes these people do get to interact with these artists on like in person. There is this like really cool translator who translates for a couple different people, but specifically has been translating for, I think, Boston and Fort Pete, but they do translate for like a lot of different artists. But they were at the Singapore fan meeting, and it was so cool to like watch them, like as someone who I'm familiar with, who's just been an international fan, because a lot of international fans who translate don't get to interact with these actors. Right. And so to see them then interact, and this was somebody who was, then the actors were like, oh yeah, I've seen that you translate for us. Like that's such so a fun. Cool, like, that's so cool. That's such a cool, like, you're excited. Like I've interacted with them. I don't think I actually have.
Who is it? You should say who it is.
I don't actually know. Oh. It's one of those where they don't have a name that's like.
Oh, but you don't know their handle, like off the top of your head.
It's like a bunch of different. It's like, it's not an actual word, right? Like, so there's a Fort Pete translator that I really love that like I've interacted with a little bit because I've restoried them. That's like 153 centimeters or something. Like I do remember that.
Well, that's their display name, not their handle. Handles are easier to find. I really like Thai BL Lover is a fun one, in terms of like translators.
And we have become friendly with him.
Yeah,
he's been fun.
He's a fun one that I do recommend following. But yeah, I think Twitter's a really fun place to like find friends.
Okay, you'll now understand. Their like display name is a bunch of symbols now.
Sure.
Their is at SUSUSIAOO.
Susu. Wait, SIAO.
Susu CO. Like it's not like there are no words in this.
Well, Susu is a word.
It's just a bunch of letters.
Yeah, but I understand. But yes.
Yeah. But it was cute to see them then interact, and they are like a lot of times some of these people who tweet are just like a great place to like meet other people that
in their comments. Yeah. Or just like funny quote tweets. I can't tell you the number of like fun Twitter friends I have because like they made a good joke.
Yeah.
And I was like all about the joke.
You know when we made a lot of Twitter friends was during the You're My Sky days.
I know. That was the best Twitter crew.
You're My Sky was...
You're My Sky, Ju My Katong Fa.
Yeah, it was quite a fun experience because every once in a while, that's the other thing, is that you'll have a thing that you're really passionate about and you'll find other people that are really passionate about it.
We were live tweeting those episodes every week. We would like tweet about the episode.
And Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, Twitter Spaces are fun too. Join the Twitter Space, talk on the Twitter Space. If you see a Twitter Space happening. One time I made a group of friends because like they were talking about a show that I liked, but like nobody else wasn't. So like I went in their Twitter Space because they were talking about the show and they were all like,
Oh my God.
Hello? And I was like, oh, hi, I just really like this show. I wanted to listen to you guys talk about it. Like, and then I made like a cute little group of friends. It was very fun.
Yeah, so that's the other thing is that like sometimes you're gonna make friends that only last for like a season for like a show, and it's nice to have them, and then sometimes they'll like continue on past that.
But like you have someone to talk to.
Yeah.
I really like Twitter. I think Twitter is a good spot for an online place to make friends.
It's pretty like low risk, low like. You can kind of come and go.
Yeah.
You will have times where like you are super active and then sometimes you like kind of fade into the background.
Yeah.
And that's always fun to do.
But yeah, I think like with all the online stuff, just remembering like this is what I always go into it trying to remember is like we're all a community, we're all friends. There's room for all of us in this fandom, and there's no reason to like be mad at someone or hate someone, especially if you've never had a real conversation with them. If you're just sort of seeing like one of their opinions online, I would say definitely like keeping that in mind, that like the liberal use of the block button is maybe not the best use of your time. Maybe like the better use of your time is like just move forward, like move on, go talk to the people, because again, not everybody's going to be everybody's like best friend. We can't all, there's so many people in this world and we can't all mesh with each other. That'd be pretty boring if we did, to be honest with you. So like, I don't know. I think life is too short to like be upset with people.
Yeah. We're not always going to agree.
Yeah.
You and I don't always agree.
We don't.
Okay, the last place I feel like to talk about, which is probably the most scary place, would be the YouTube comments. Okay, this I feel like is a great space for us to also talk about kind of our experience in the YouTube comments. I will say the most fun thing about YouTube a lot of times is we'll see these YouTube comments then come to other social media platforms, safer social media platforms, and they're like, it's a little more personal when they bring it off YouTube, because YouTube a lot of times can be even more of the shouting into the void, where like you don't know.
YouTube is brutal. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. YouTube, I have some very deep-seated trauma from the YouTube comments.
It's very true, because people are just like brutally honest in an unnecessary way most of the time, of like, again, sure, creative criticism is a thing, or constructive criticism, but like write an email.
There's also some mean-spirited, again, this just gets back to like, remember, like we're not like, there are real people behind the people you're talking to. And like
you see our faces,
and also like we have some friends that are reactors, and like I've read their comments before, and I have seen like just remembering that you're talking to someone, not shouting into the void.
You know what I realized?
I don't know that, although I think we say we disagree. I disagree with you. I don't think YouTube comments is a place to meet friends, because it is very much a shouting into the void. Like I don't, because there's no way to really. You can't like YouTube DM someone. You can't like build a relationship to make friends. So on this one, I will disagree with you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that's why a lot of times like people will then go to other places. Like probably the best example is Amber. Shout out Amber, who listens to us, and I think I mainly saw her, I could be getting this wrong, but I mainly saw her in our YouTube comments, and then she came over to IG to DM us about some things, which I thought was nice.
So maybe okay, here's where we can agree on YouTube. Yeah. Find and watch videos that people are making about BL, and then go connect with them on their platforms. Even if their videos have like 5 views, but if they like seem interesting or seem like the kind of person you want to talk to, like don't be shy to go like chit chat with them, because YouTube comments are hard to make, because again, you're not really like building a relationship or a friendship with people. It's just kind of because there's no way to DM them, or even like see, you don't really have like unless they have a channel where they've listed their handles or something, there's no way to contact them, connect with them outside of even that very specific video. Like you can't even go see other things they've commented on, so you can't even go find them somewhere else.
Because I will say, like, there is like this one editor, like fan edit person that I have seen that like makes really, really popular edits that I now know, like they use the same @handle on Twitter, and I then came to Twitter to like see kind of more of like, because fan edits don't really show who a person is, like their personality. And so then coming to Twitter, I then was like, oh, this is like who they are and like what, and they have like a fun kind of like narrative on Twitter. And so, yeah, I would agree that if you find other like BL fan friends on, like you see them in the YouTube, a lot of times that creator, like Let's Talk BL, will have other social media handles that then you can go
definitely
to.
like go watch a bunch of stuff on YouTube and find people that are because oftentimes if they're willing to talk about it on YouTube, just again like that's a shout into the void. They're probably willing to talk to you about BL. Like they probably want friends as much as you want friends. Because
I have seen people pop up and comment, but we don't actually like connect with them until they then move to other platforms.
Really no way to do so because there's not like a DM feature.
That's
on
true.
YouTube.
I wonder if they'll ever make that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I feel like it's not a safe space to do that.
No.
I guess that's why a lot of people have like email addresses or the way to contact them. Yeah. The creators do specifically.
Yeah.
And then you just like go over to their other socials to interact with them.
Yeah.
Interesting. It would be nice if you could like, I guess it kind of would be nice. I wonder if there was a DM feature on YouTube if like people would DM you instead of publicly commenting things.
I don't know.
I wonder. Yeah. I'd be curious to know. Because I see that on Instagram, right? There's some people that will like publicly comment, but then I think I have seen quite a few other like fan accounts will be like, y'all stop DMing me like nonsense questions, right? Where it's like, they'll be like, what's the name of this show? Or where can I find this show? And it's literally in the comment of the video that they're asking about, which is always so funny. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, but maybe they're just trying to start a conversation with that person.
It's true. Maybe. But yeah, moral of the story is there are so many friends to be had, and you can find your BL friends.
You can find your BL friends.
You can start with us.
We'll be your BL friends because genuinely, every DM we get, if it doesn't get like lost and stuck in our request folder, which does happen sometimes, and we always feel so guilty. Like we'll notice it, and we'll be like, "Oh my god, this person DM'd us like 3 months ago. What do we do about this?" Like,
yeah.
But like.
We'll
respond to every DM.
We DM somebody, and then months later they were like, "Oh no, they DM'd me forever ago. How do I respond to this?"
Yes, but 2 years.
But 2 years later,
Benjamin Brazier. Not to call anyone out.
Yes, Ben Brazier is absolutely listening to this podcast.
I actually, whenever that happened, okay, this goes to show you, like, you just can have no shame. Like, literally, whenever that, so I DM'd Ben.
This is a great behind the scenes story.
I have wanted to have Benjamin on the podcast, like, literally since we started the podcast. And so I DM'd Ben Brazier because, like, I don't remember why we didn't go. Normally we go through their management, we do official channels, and I don't remember what the deal was. It's like why I had DM'd him.
Because early days we were kind of going guerrilla style. If we messaged their manager and, like, they didn't respond at all, we were like, I don't know, maybe if we DM them. Because there are some actors that do things like they go IG live or like
they have a lot of hand in their own management.
Yeah, they feel very approachable.
Yeah. I think that's why, because I had watched Ben on Twitch before and things like that. I don't remember why. Like, you know, you learn things with time. But anyways, like, this was back when we first started the podcast, so it had literally been 2 years.
Yeah.
And literally, like, almost 2 years to the day later, we're in Thailand when this happens. And I remember,
did he know that we were here?
I remember, like, we were in our hotel room. I vividly remember this. And I looked down, and I just remember yelling, Ben Brazier just DM'd us. Like, I literally just, like, yelled it. And you were like, what?
I was like, I don't get it.
You were like, what? And I was like, and you were like, wait, did he, like, you were like, he DM'd us? And
I was like, did you DM him recently?
No, you were like, did you DM him? And I was like, I don't think so. And then I had to go back and I saw it because I didn't remember doing it.
Because we have a very, like, detailed plan of who we, like, asked to be on the podcast.
And we're
like,
very professional about it. Like, we, like, go through their management. We have, like, a Thai speaker that helps us specifically. Like, we have, like,
that was very funny.
And I was like, what? And we were so confused. And so, anyways, like, I end up DMing him back, like, immediately. I was like, okay, I can't wait. Because clearly, like, I got to DM back immediately.
We scheduled him on the podcast.
I'm going to lose him again.
Yeah.
And literally, like, I don't know. It took less than like 5 minutes of him being in the room when we like got him there for an interview. Of me being like, okay, I have to ask you about I literally like I could not hold it in. I literally was like he had been in the room for like maybe like 5 minutes before I was immediately. Like I was like, I have to ask. I was like, why did you DM us back after 2 years? And he was so funny and cute about it. He was like, oh yeah, like you caught on to that, huh? He was like, okay, so here's the story. He's like, so Bo, and he's like telling us the story of like why basically our name had come up in conversation. And he went
with like industry friends.
Yeah. And he went to go look and like see
if we had interacted.
At all, right? Like our name had come up in conversation that he was having with like industry friends. And he ended up seeing in the DM that we had DM'd him 2 years ago. And apparently he did also grapple with it. He had the same reaction as we do when like we accidentally don't DM back fast enough, where he was like, oh shoot.
It's like that email that you let go a little too long.
Yeah, he was like, and he even said, he was like, I really couldn't figure out how to respond to you guys. He was like, should I say that, like, I'm sorry it's been 2 years? Should I just pretend? He was like, I really didn't know how to, like, handle it. It ended up being fine, but listen, it happens. So if somebody doesn't get back to you right away, don't assume they're just ghosting you. Yeah. You genuinely could be stuck in their request. And that's basically what he said happened, is he was like, I get lots of DMs. You guys were stuck in my request. I just didn't see it until I went to go look you guys up because your name had come up in conversation.
That was just so funny.
It was, but yeah, you know, not to name any names, but like Benjamin Bridger.
But yeah, I feel like, again, easier said than done. Make BL friends.
Don't be shy. Ones. I think the moral of the story is don't be shy. Remember, it's all a community. Be nice.
Find what works for you.
Because you have your own friendship style. We all do. We're all different people.
100%.
Yeah. But if all else fails, we'll be your BL friends. Yes. We literally will respond to every DM unless you get stuck in our request. But I promise we won't leave it for 2 years unless something weird happens.
And so, this has been Let's Talk BL. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow all things Let's Talk BL. And DM us at Let's Talk BL.
And you know what else you can do? You can come to Thailand with us. We're, in case you hadn't heard.
Yes.
We're going to Thailand in 2024, August 29th through September 4th. And as of recording, there are 2 spots left. I don't know if there will still be 2 spots when this episode goes up. But even if there's a wait list, sign up for the wait list, because if somebody has to cancel their spot, you could, steal their spot, basically.
This is a great place to make BL friends.
Yes, there's going to be a big group of us in a very, organized and safe way. And so we'll put the link to that in the description of this episode. But another way to make friends is, come to Thailand with a bunch of BL fans.
Yeah. Okay, bye.